Hey, hey. Hello, 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 hello. Everybody's on. Oh my god. Oh my god. Hello. You can hear
Hello,
me,
hello,
right?
hello. Oh my gosh, there's something in my eye. Can you see
Listen, listen. We've been having some technical issues. As you can see, Stellina Blue is not yet on the live. We'll see. She gonna come. She's gonna be coming on at some point. Um, but yeah, we have a guest, our featured guest, joining us this evening. Before I introduce her, I want to welcome every single one of you. Thank you so very much for being patient and not cussing us out tonight for being so late. Um, so I'm so sorry. Like people actually message like direct messaging me, like, where are you? I haven't even checked the chat yet that is on Facebook, the two
Oh, you don't want to see
cents
that
group.
yet.
I have not even checked it yet because I'm just like people might be sharing some bad words on there. But yeah, we're on. We did not forget. We were just
My
having some
eye is
technical
watering.
issues.
Yeah.
That was me earlier on. That was me earlier on. I poked my eye trying to put
Yeah.
eyeliner on.
Listen, pain is beauty and beauty is pain. Like, what is happening?
It was a wrap. I
Guys,
had to. I
forgive
poked
me.
my eye, and then I tried to wipe it, and the
Yeah.
eyeliner, the liquid liner did not dry. So I kind of like smudged it. So then I had to go and wipe it off on one eye, and I was like, why? I was like, why? Why me,
Guys,
Lord? Why me?
bear with me. I am trying my level best here, but we're on live, these things happen. But yeah, I look and I feel kind of reckless right
She
now.
crying. She crying because
Okay, Castelli is not here. I'm missing her.
she crying. She
Where
crying.
are you?
She telling her that's why she cried. Telling her we don't see you on as yet. So once you log into the live, we'll bring you on because Selena is gonna be joining us. Of course, we the awesome trees trio. I just wanna. I mean, it's always me, Jael Joseph. You know me. Ricolia, our Trini gal, who joins us every single week. One of my co-hosts. And today we have the lovely Missy Creasy is joining us all the way from Grenada, the Jabland.
Blup, 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 blup.
Yes. So we try to make this show as Caribbean flavored as possible. So we try to incorporate many different perspectives because everybody can give their 2 cents based on their different the different islands that we're from. And I'm so happy that Missy Creasy could join us today. Missy Creasy, if you follow her, if you're a Grenadian, if you're on the live, and you know Missy Creasy from her Jab in Shape. She also has a very popular show called Upstage, right? And
Yes.
and just recently she had like a sailor's boat cruise that shelled out.
Ooh.
So big up to you and thank you so very much for joining us
Thank
for
you.
2 cents. It's lovely to have you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I love these types of meetings of Caribbean women and men in and out of the diaspora. So I appreciate you reaching out, and I'm happy to share my 2 cents tonight.
Ooh, she happy to share her 2 cents tonight with
Okay.
us. We have what's happening here?
Do you have a
I have
guess?
a
Stelina, she
doorbell.
knows Stelina just late. She just you're
What's
fashionably late.
up?
She
No,
fashionably.
I'm late. I'm magnified. Can you even hear me?
I can
Yes.
hear you. Can you hear us?
Okay. Now I'm magnified and
I don't know why you magnify. You probably need to change the settings on your video. Remember, I had showed you that the last time. You go into your camera settings and
I
you
don't have to
it's
say
not
it like that,
like
Jill.
it's right.
I think
She
she do that for
bougie.
spite,
She
you know.
bougie. She
I think
bougie.
she
So
just
we have
wants
to.
us to see the face beat, so she made sure that it was magnified on her face. You know what I mean?
In case you missed
She
it.
turned off her camera. She's like, I'm going. Um, so just go on the little thing that says video, and just if you click on it, you can actually adjust your video right there. So it's good to have the awesome trio on, and let me just check out the chat to see who's on. Oh, people are coming on slowly but surely. People are coming on. Um, somebody say Ricola is looking for a husband. Whoosh! I don't know about that. Recall you looking for a husband?
We could take that conversation offline.
Okay. You still
Reconciliation.
magnified, Rebu? You still magnified?
So Mia's telling me that she's doing this intentionally because, and she
Mm-hmm.
wants all of us and everyone who's tuned in to just take in the beat. Look at
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm.
face.
Mm-hmm.
Look at
This
that.
feisty. She's so feisty.
Guys, I'm so
So
sorry. Like, this is stressing
Oh,
me out. Oh,
girl, it's not only you.
we all stressed out here. We all stressed out. Don't worry, don't worry. You will figure it out at some
Got you.
point. Don't let it stress you out too much. Just relax, enjoy the show. People just want your mouth and your big face. That's it, right? They want your 2 cents, and she just jumped off again. You know, Stelina's not gonna stop until she gets it perfect, right? So let's just leave her do her thing, and we do
She's
ours.
here. That's the most important thing. She's here.
That's it. That's it. Today we have a busy show for you guys. Today we discuss the judicial system, particularly how long it takes to be heard, especially cases to be heard. We're going to talk a little bit on our laws, especially ones like that probably still on our books, and we're wondering where the hell is that still on our books. We're going to talk a little bit about blended families. So the roles of step people. I call them step people because they come in all different shapes and sizes. Step people and over bio people. We're going to talk about relationships. So who should spend the most? We're going to discuss a little bit on raising children and lots more. So we got a packed show here for you guys this evening, and we want to roll straight into the thick of things. But before we do so, I gotta pick up the folks on the live. As we always ask you guys to do, let us know where you're hailing from. So drop a comment, drop something, tell us where you're actually calling from, or where you're logged in from, I should say. So I see Shara's logged in, and she says muela, in our Dominican twang.
What does that
It,
mean?
it's I dare, I'm here, I hear muela,
Nice. Nice.
I
In
dare,
Trinidad here, a day.
I dare, right? Okay, look at that,
Ah,
look at that.
ah, perfectionist. She finally got it. I love it.
can you hear me though? Am I on?
Yes, yes.
You on.
Perfect. Stress.
Who's that?
Everybody looks so yes. Okay.
You
Hi
look
all.
lovely. You
Hi
look
all.
lovely.
Good evening, guys. Good evening, viewers. Hi,
Hi.
Ricolia. Hi, Missy.
How are
Hi,
you?
JL.
You,
Hi.
you gotta say where I reach. I reach.
Where we be?
Uive.
Where we
Uive.
be?
Yes.
Woo!
Moive is also I'm here. So yeah.
Gotcha. I love this show, you know. Like I'm learning Dominican twang language. I love it. I love it.
Everything
Technology.
in one.
But
So Stellina, in case you didn't know, Missy Chrissy is here with us. Well,
hi,
I didn't introduce you
Missy.
guys because you know,
I
so
was
she's
all.
joining us all the way from the Jabland, and
Uh-huh.
we're
Facts.
happy to have her on. So let's get this show on the road. Somebody's saying Afuawi country. Somebody's from Afuawi country, which is Marigot, I'm guessing,
Yes.
right?
Very
Afuawi
good. Yeah.
country.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
big up the folks who are logging on. Make sure you guys share the live. I don't see anybody else yet logged in on YouTube. So when they come through, we'll shout them out. But the folks on Facebook are slowly trickling in, and we're excited to have you guys on here with us. And we apologize again for the late start. Technical difficulties, but when you do shows on live, especially on the internet, anything can happen. Like last night I did a show, and I swear every 2 words I said I was sticking. I was like, what is going on with this stupid internet? Like, and I'm accurate. I have like the really good internet, eh? But that's another story. So things always happen, but we like to roll with the punches, and we want to get going and just get
Yes.
our 2 cents out there tonight and let folks know what we think. Now, before we even get into the topics, I cannot not shout out the fans. Those of you who've been following us on the 2 cents public profile page. So I want to shout you guys out, and people have been putting in their comments and their questions. And one of the questions actually we got in, and I probably want to just we can probably breeze through it and probably put it on for next week because we don't want to ignore the fans. We have to actually think of them. And one person was saying that she wants for us to focus life with a married man. So she wants us to discuss that. So we're gonna. I mean, we have to listen to the fans, right?
As in
So
being married to the man,
What
or
kind of life? Like as
yeah,
in being
I
that's
his
think
wife, or as
I
in
think
yeah.
I think it's the side one. Like if you're with a married man, if you're with a married man, like what exactly, like how exactly do you milk him is the question. And that's what she wants to know. And um I can give her 1 cent. I won't give her my whole 2 cents because I think the whole group we want to get in on the conversation. Look at Stellina, he's like, "Hmm," right?
I know all
So
our expressions were like, right?
my take on the whole married man thing, I'm like, take what you get, whatever you get, just take it. If that's your position, if that's your situationship. What those guys, what nice them say, situationship, no
no
relationship.
relationship?
Take the whole check. What they say, I want the whole check.
Right.
I want the whole check. You decide what exactly, if it's working out for you, or like I can't really teach you what to do when you involve yourself in that kind of a situationship, right?
Yeah, I think you probably have to probably have been in the situation to even speak to it, because otherwise you coming from a space of just speculation. You've never been in that space to be to give that kind of like real insight.
But the worst
Correct.
thing is being with, if you decide to put yourself with a married man and he's cheap.
Raising his hand, you. Sorry. Get that
It's
one shut
like,
down.
Oh my gosh. Listen,
like, why
cheating
you
is
do
an
that to yourself,
expensive
right?
thing, you know. If
What?
a married man is cheating, it's an expensive thing. He can't be
And
looking, going outside marriage and expecting to be cheap with it as well.
no, you
That
cannot.
doesn't mean I condone this behavior, and I'm not recommending that somebody does that. But
Okay,
I
I
would
want
say
it.
to
What I
you,
say, I
at
want
least
the whole
manage your
check.
expectations, because you have people want to beat wife, and you can't. You really have to manage your expectations if you're choosing to be with a married man.
Period. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all 1 cent.
That's all
Mhm.
1 cent. We
That's
can
all one.
Three cents
content.
later.
We can add
That's
the
all
other
1 cent.
cent to it another time. And we want to get deep, because we actually produce this show, so it's not random. We don't just randomly select topics, because we want it to be as diverse as possible, and we want to touch on different things. We want the ratchetness, but we also want the content that will educate. And one of the things that we've been seeing a lot, and we touched on it a little bit, um, in terms of the court system and how it operates, especially where the judicial process is concerned in the Caribbean, and the general consensus, it appears, is that it takes too long to actually process a lot of these cases, and it can have a lot of negative impacts on the community. And one set case, that we could probably put like case in point, which we were reviewing, which is actually just last week. That case went on for almost 16 years, where someone was murdered and someone was charged. And right now, half of the people who were witnesses have since left Ireland, and the other half is there, and the person who was charged ended up being acquitted, right? So
Wow.
everything kind of just flushed down the road, and that's it, the end. And
And they
for
were in prison for those 16 years.
no, they were not.
Oh.
They were not. And that is a
Whoa,
whole
whoa, whoa,
nother
whoa.
story. That's a whole nother story,
Interesting.
right? Um, you're talking, Selena? Were you saying something?
I am
No,
sure.
because we're not hearing you. We're not hearing you. We were just seeing your mouth, your lips moving.
Mhm.
We're not hearing you.
I mean, the
So
lip gloss is popping.
At least.
but we're not hearing you. So what happened in that situation? We still trying to figure out, should the court system had put in place, okay, that case went on for so long, pay for the people's flight to come back to be witnesses, because, like, I mean, 16 years is a long
That's a whole
time.
teenager.
So the person was acquitted because the witnesses were not on island?
So
Because
that
there
was
wasn't
part
enough evidence?
that was part of it. Yes. So that was one of
Yes.
the
Oh,
things that
As far
that
as you're
was.
aware, are there like any statutes of limitations for murder cases in Dominica?
Well, I am not aware of how it works in Dominica, in terms of how long, if it can be retried and whatever. But I'll tell you this: most people who get acquitted it never comes back on the books. Like I have
Right.
never heard that anybody was retried
Yeah.
for any crime in Dominican. Correct me if I'm wrong. Those of you on the live, in terms of those who know the real 2 cents, right?
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I you could give me us your 2 cents, but I don't recall at any point where someone was acquitted and then the case came back around.
There has to be some kind. I can.
Oh
You guys can
yeah,
hear me,
No,
right?
yeah.
yeah, you know.
There has to be some kind of clause jail that allows these cases to drag on. Like, what is the clause within the judicial system? Like, what is it that we do not know that is within the judicial system that allows for cases like that to drag on for so long? There has to be something we do not know.
Should I give my honest 2 cents, or you want the 2 cents? The
The diplomatic.
Well, I think, honest to God, I think that they just wasting people time. Like I just feel like they just wasting people time. Like I noticed during COVID, after after the online access was granted, where people now had there was the only way to communicate, you found like a lot of civil cases were being heard online, and
Fine.
things, the backlog was kind of, and I'm just like, oh, they couldn't think of that, like how many, but this is, but we in a, I feel like we live in the Caribbean and still operate under this colonial governance, or methods of governance. For
Yep.
example, to file a bloody paper, you still need to make sure that the paper is a deed paper. Like what happened to regular paper? Like what's the so there's so much
Deed
little
paper, and they make sure they ask
bullshit.
you. You do not get it without the deed paper.
But here this deed paper is $218 in Dominica,
Excuse me?
right? So it's like, I mean, bruh, like when you have things like that you have to deal with, like who has time and energy for all of this? I don't know what's the case in Trinidad and Grenada. Probably y'all can help us out uh, a little bit in terms of the judicial system, because it might just be us.
No, it's pretty similar, unfortunately, and pretty common where people at least here. I mean, I can't speak if this is the case with every single individual in Dominica, but at least the people who have been accused of murder, they unfortunately would sit down in remand yard for years, sometimes decades, waiting
Mm.
for their case to be called. I mean, I'm not sure if there are any who are accused and are out waiting for their case. More than likely not, but it's not unusual for someone to essentially be serving time for something that they may or may not have done. And that's the most disturbing element of it. It's one thing if you committed the crime, but if, let's say, there's evidence that may or may not look good in your favor, you could be essentially wasting away in prison, wasting away for a trial that may or may not come in your lifetime. And bureaucracy is in this country as well. Like a lot of things are in place because that's how it's always been done. And um, like nobody questions it. The red tape is just, it's ridiculous. It's not a matter of if it makes sense, more a matter of, it's just a policy.
No amendments. We are very slow to amending certain things.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but
And my biggest thing, and at the risk of sounding disrespectful about our Caribbean people. I'm not like specifying any one island, but I feel like when it comes to certain things, especially when it comes to certain areas of like law and judicial systems and all of that, I still feel like we operate in that sort of like stereotypical Caribbean slow pace, it'll happen when it happen kind of thing. Like there's no urgency when it comes to certain things. There's no urgency when it says, okay, well, if someone has been accused of something, let's try to get something to trial within this particular timeline. More than just like murder, but just generally our overarching processes and this and the other. There's no sense of urgency to expedite things when they need to be. So that is
How
very
about how about
frustrating.
how about you, Missy Chrissy?
I think we experienced the same thing in Grenada, like doing something the simplest thing takes forever for no reason. And lawyers, for instance, they have a million secretaries. Like they have the most like the ratio, you know,
The
the
mathematician.
ratio lawyer to secretary is crazy. And you still wonder how is it they're not able to do simple things. In fact, there are sometimes I run a marketing and entertainment agency. There are times where I just create my own agreement because it's faster than actually going to a lawyer to have that done. So it takes forever. I do believe, though, in terms of some serious cases, that delaying could be a tactic um, to potentially get a guilty person to not be actually, go to prison or whatever it is. So I think that probably happens at times. I think
I so glad it's not the Dominican that's saying that.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know the situation in Dominica, so I can't say, but I know just from, let's be real. We watch legal shows. We know these are things that happen. I
Yep.
think another issue is the unethical practices. A lot of lawyers, I mean, because our countries are so small, I don't know for Trinidad, but I mean, Grenada is just over 100,000 people. So every lawyer either went to school, they went to the same schools, they all went to Hugh Wooding and UE in Cave Hill, right? Right? Um,
Right.
they know each other. They have to do cases together, sometimes apart, but there's a lot of things happening that are unethical and nobody's dealing with it because let's be real, the same people who are on the ethics committee, if they have such a thing, they're also lawyers with friends. So,
Exactly.
you know, and I think in terms of the
Fraternity.
complications that take place in the legal fraternity, is a way to maintain the grandeur of the profession, like all the terms, and you could just say it in plain English, but I think that's a way to maintain that separation between civilians and counsel, right? So
Well,
my
well,
two
well,
cents.
well. Well, well,
Yeah.
well, well, well.
Jael, it
Let's see
looks
what.
like Reese was taking everything from your from your friend.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you, Missy Chris, you. I mean, I can think it sometimes, but I can't exactly say it
Say yeah,
for a
right.
lot of reasons. I'm also friends with quite a few lawyers, so they gotta be what like
Listen.
jail that you said about us. But it's hashtag facts, like what you
It is
just
facts.
said.
It is
It is
facts.
facts, and I think we need to do better at how quickly these cases are called, especially those of more of the criminal nature, because
Right.
essentially guilty or not guilty, you are allowing or might not allow somebody to, they might spend a lot of time in jail for something that they actually did not
Yeah.
commit. Imagine if
And then
that
are they
person,
compensated?
More than likely,
well,
Because if
that
you're
is
telling me this person was acquitted after 16 years, or well, this person was not in prison, but if that person were in prison, then how do
I'm
you
what
pretty sure there's
compensate
happens.
somebody
nothing on
for
the books
16 years
that
of
would
their
allow for that.
lives? Huh?
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure there's nothing on the books that would accommodate for that. Like because
Yeah.
I would have
even
to
if
agree
let's
with
say he
you.
is even if he is out and about, he still has a murder charge on his head, which probably will impact on his ability to earn a living, to get access to a decent job, housing,
Find a
loans,
woman.
like all those all those things.
Yeah,
So we don't know
because
how
as
he's
a
gonna
woman, you'd be kind of scared. You'd be like, boy, Mister is
murder
so and so.
accused.
Especially in
Yeah.
small Dominica, like Dominic, you guys in Grenada have 100,000. You have a couple million. Recoil, we probably have like 60,000,
Couple
right?
million.
If even that, right?
Right.
Mhm.
So everybody knows each other, and in as much as whether or not the person's guilty, you as an individual, like you you will vilify that person. You
Yeah.
know, for 16 years you're being possibly being vilified for something that you may or may not have done, right? So because the judicial system kind of, for lack of a better word, failed you because you have waited 16 years of your life for a case
And
to be
then at
called.
the end of the day, it's almost like justice delayed might just be justice denied because 16 years.
And then on top of it all,
Mm.
he was acquitted, but For all
What
we
about the
know,
victim?
what about the person who supposedly actually did it? So that the family and loved ones of the deceased, they haven't seen any kind of justice at all.
At
Yeah,
all.
and then they
Whether or
had to
not
delay
whether
this
or not he
16
did it
years
or
of
not.
dealing with that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's no, like, no one comes out of this good. The individual who is acquitted, yes, he is acquitted. But again, like, what was the quality of his life? And I'm saying this carefully as well because I don't want to make it seem as if I'm saying he's
You're
innocent.
saying
We
his,
really
yeah.
don't know. But his
Mm.
life has been impacted as well. And the family of the deceased, they have not seen any kind of justice at all. I know for one thing in the States, not saying that the United States is perfect by any means, but I think like it's like in their constitution where everyone is um forgive me if I'm not
Innocent.
getting it right, but like access to due process is their constitutional right. Like something
Right.
like this, like what we're all experiencing in the Caribbean, that actually is an infringement of their rights. And I wish that we could all adopt something similar to that, which would sort of ensure that if you are accused of something, you know that your case has to be heard within a particular timeline, and your whole life is not being wasted away waiting for a trial.
For trial, yeah.
Facts. Let's see what the folks in the chat has to say. So somebody is saying somebody's saying that the reason for it is possibly obia. Like
We
people
forgot
are
that. We forgot that theory.
so
We don't.
Sherry Bombshell is suggesting that there's a possibility that it might be obia. So what do you guys think? So this is something that is very hot topic in Dominica right now. And it's kind of like I have mixed feelings about it because especially if you knew the victim, as a friend or as a brother or sister or whatever it is, it's kind of just you're just like, what happens next?
Mm.
Like I've waited all of these years. Or what about the witnesses? Like I was thinking, like couldn't they have like paid to have these people, you know,
Come in.
come in? At least some of them, because it's almost more than half of witnesses have since left. Because obviously these people have continued with their life.
Of course. They're not going to
They
just sit
continue.
there and just wait. Oh, let's see when they're going to call a case. Let's see, let's see,
Gone to
let's see.
university, gotten jobs,
No,
got married, have
nope.
had kids, and people have moved on with their lives. And
Mm.
it feels like the people who've not moved on are the people who lost their loved one, and potentially the person who was charged with the actual crime, and you're like you're stuck in a rut for 16 years, not knowing what's going on, and then
Yeah.
you
You know what
and
the
only to find
scary,
out the end result is acquittal.
the scary thing in all of this is if the accused actually is innocent, it means that there is a murderer just walking around here undetected. That is the scary part in all of this. If the accused is innocent.
Yep, that is just another layer on top
Yeah.
of everything else that you essentially have to deal with.
Was class an issue here? Because I know, for instance, sometimes we notice it too in a small society where, according to what level you are in society, certain things
Ah,
just don't even reach the court. You know what I mean?
We
But
don't
then
even
if
hear
it
about it.
happens to, yeah,
I
if it
feel like I
happens to
need to have some
someone,
bush tea. Give me some bush tea. I need some. I
True.
feel like I need some bush tea. Like somebody make me some bush
okay,
tea. Yeah.
That's the
So
okay,
act.
say less,
we're gonna keep it moving,
no problem.
because we
yeah.
got lots of other things to talk about, especially we spoke about the legal system, and I don't know if we want to stay on that because we're already in it. So probably to touch a little bit on some of the laws that we still have. Man, those lawyers gonna come for us. Some of the
Exactly.
laws that are still on our books in the Caribbean. For example, there's a very so there's a law called the anti-buggery law, which sits happily on our books in Dominica, um, and it affects. And I don't know why people think it only affects one group, because I feel like it affects both hetero and homosexual relationships,
Once having sex.
and and
Once you have
And
private parts, I mean,
like hello, like it affects everyone. And I've actually like I've heard, like I should say, leaders in our society say, what, it's not enforced, so like, but
If it's
it
not
is
enforced,
still
then
there.
what's the big deal taking it off the books then and making it legal?
So people seem to misconstrue the law, that law, with pedophilia. So they kind of like lump them into the same bracket, because I've heard people who are clearly ignorant say things like, so what happened to children that get sexually abused by, and I'm like, they still, those still, people still get away. Like, those people are still getting away with those crimes, because how many people you actually hear actively going to jail, from at least from Dominica, for sexually assault or abuse of a minor?
and even
Not
if you
many.
go, it's for like 2 months and
Two
then you're
days.
out.
2 days.
Fast,
Right.
all fast. I feel
So
like it's because, at least in Trinidad, when they speak about pedophilia, the articles, they specifically use the word buggering. They don't use the word molestation or child rape. They use the word buggery a lot in relation to pedophilia. So I feel like when people hear that possibly like they're going to take buggery off the books, they probably think it means that they're going to allow children to be molested, which is not the same thing.
right, and that is facts, and I think it's all programming.
Yes.
Like, it's all programming, the way the media and how everybody kind of spins everything. But essentially, this is affecting people's personal lives, because I know of women who take it in their body. I do. So they love it too. So does that mean that they should go to jail? Like, give me your 2 cents. I want to. Big secrecy, you're laughing. She's dying. I'm being real. Like, it is.
We all should be locked up. We all, whoever is
Well,
indulging in
I,
this
I,
act,
honest to God, you leave my little window alone, please and thank you.
if we are
That's just me
indulging, we should be
personally.
locked up. That's it.
Leave my little window alone. You could probably pass your tongue on there, but that's about it. Missy Chris is dead. You could probably, but that's about it.
That's
In
about
terms
it.
that's about it. Like, leave that alone. I am not trying to not walk for a couple of days. Missy
But
Okay.
the thing is, that is your choice to say that. The law should not tell you you're not allowed to try or not try or indulge or not indulge as a consenting adult.
True. But again, no, we're passing that straight. Again,
Miss
we're passing that straight. We're not going on that side. Mm-mm.
Missy Chrissy, what do you think? What's your 2 cents? She's
Um,
dead.
I wasn't ready. I was not. I was not ready. Mm-mm.
Oh,
Um, this is loaded with a lot because we could go so many different places with it. To be honest, I don't feel like we should be wasting my tax dollars in court addressing what two or more consensual men or women or a mixture choose to do in private. Um, but again, I understand where the law came from. It came from a place way centuries ago. We are very Christian. It came from the Bible. Most of our laws come from the Bible. And I understand its place years ago, but I don't think in 2023 it's very relevant. To be honest, I would prefer that a lot of our effort goes into actually dealing with people who commit pedophilia and who take advantage of our children, take advantage of our women and the vulnerable people in society. To me, that needs more effort than
Attention,
what people
yeah.
choose to do
thank you.
for pleasure,
I do
or
not get it.
pain, whatever they're into.
I
Agreed.
agree. I
1000%.
Ev-
agree.
Everybody's like, agreed,
Agree.
agreed. Folks are
Agree.
I mean,
saying
like,
true, true, true. Folks are on the live and commenting. I mean, it's kind of scary to know that um that it remains on. I don't know. is it still on your books in Trinidad? Is it still on your books in Grenada? Like, because it's
No,
still on our
It
books.
is, yeah.
a few
But
years
it's
ago.
written in a very ambiguous way. So it's actually written as unnatural connection. Connection spelled with an X, something I learned today,
Oh
by the
God,
way.
Old
Yeah,
English.
Old English, right?
A connexion.
Yeah, connection.
Connection. That's
It's
a
not just a
connection. That's
connection, it's a
connection.
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 An
But it's
unnatural
written that
connexion.
way, yeah, with a person or animal. So it's actually a little ambiguous as to what that could mean.
Isn't
And
that
in the
two
truth,
different?
That is so vague.
it is
That
vague. It is
is so
vague,
vague.
which means that it can be argued in courts, which perhaps could be a good or a bad thing, but it leaves it open. No, not one time in my lifetime I've heard anybody gone to court and been charged with something like this.
But
So
what makes it unnatural? What exactly?
I
What
guess
is the unnatural?
natural. I'm
So what is
assuming.
natural?
I'm assuming because we have to remember where this came from.
Right.
Natural would mean a man and a woman, and the penis is penetrating the vagina, right?
So you're
Um,
natural.
that's
That's
what I would assume they mean by natural connection. So
so if something else penetrates me, it's unnatural.
I because it's so
Assuming.
ambiguous, you can argue that.
So technically, the
Yes.
plastic
Right.
toys are
Exactly.
legal.
Very unnatural.
The
Not
That
natural
country
would
enough,
be unnatural
maybe not.
According to the law, is
Right.
unnatural.
according to
And
the law.
in Grenada.
in Grenada.
Recordia, I think you have I think you share different um I guess situation for Trinidad because it's no longer on your books, right?
Yeah, through a lot of years of activism, honestly I forget his name off the top of my head, but he is a Trinidad-born, UK-based activist, and he was, the face and at the helm of trying to get it off the law and essentially pushing not just for the legal side of things, but also I don't want to use the word tolerance, but acceptance of the LGBTQ community, and it was eventually taken off the books. And since then, the people who are within this community, like it was sort of like an open secret. Like they existed. They were certain clubs that you knew that you can go to in this and the other. And as far as I'm aware, there were never any like direct attacks that you would see on people like in a similar way you may see like in Jamaica. But a lot of people were not able to live out their truth. Like it was unusual. Like you would see them like walking hand in hand and like just being together in this and the other. And since then, like now you're seeing a lot of events being held for people in the community, like public events, and I'm seeing a lot of younger people right now, like Gen Z, who are boldly walking down the street hand in hand, whether they're gay, bi, whatever on the spectrum, and this and the other. So we really have come a long way in such a short space of time, and this is like essentially like at the helm of this gentleman who has been fighting for years to showcase that these are human beings at the end of the day, and this law is pretty ridiculous. And just let people live.
Pretty ridiculous.
Yeah,
Well,
and
I'm gonna
as Mr. Christie said, like we are focusing way more on this and less on what are we actually doing to help the disenfranchised, the actual victims who are not getting the attention and the protection that they need. So
Yeah.
I want to hit up the live because Tamika Jude, who is actually a lawyer, she came on there and she says the law is rarely enforced, so I don't think it really makes a difference whether it's on the books or not. Some places still have laws about where you can park your horse carriage.
we have
And
some
that's
of those
yeah,
raw old
I'm
time
with it.
laws as
I'm
well.
with
Yeah.
it. Like, why is it, you know? But then I guess one could argue that the fact that it's still there means that eventually somebody can be charged with it, and I guess that's the issue because it is being viewed as unconstitutional, you know?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really interested as to what was the public's response in Trinidad when that was changed. And weird fact, I actually know two people in Trinidad who were attacked. People that I knew over like the last few years. And it's
Really?
because yeah, one guy is still
See, that's
missing.
Oh no. Now I don't want to
I
say I don't
kid
want to
you
make it seem
not.
as if it's a utopia over here, just for quick
Yeah.
disclaimer. But like
Mm-hmm.
I know like you tend to see it a lot more blatant in up in other islands. Like I remember seeing, actual video of one guy in Jamaica essentially barricading himself in a store because there was a mob outside and they knew that he was gay. And if he
Mm-hmm.
went outside, that was gonna be the end of his life. So
You know,
I'm not trying to discredit or like take away from anyone's, trauma that they've gone through. I'm sure that it would have happened. Um, that is very scary though that someone is missing. That is very disturbing, actually.
Ethan
For
said something
years.
last week, on when Ethan was on the show about the top shelf, about people
Right.
being on the top shelf. People tend to get away, or when it's, in other words, not necessarily get away, but
Mhm.
they're allowed or they're more accepted.
There's no
And then if you at
spotlight
the
on
if
them.
you at
There's
the
no
bottom of the
spotlight on
shelf,
them.
then you get ridiculed, and you get all of this
Mm.
directed towards you. And I mean, I've seen it, we've seen it, right, Selena? We've seen the
I
top tiers stay on top,
I need some
and
tea, Jael. When the tea. I need
bush.
some tea. I need the tea.
I had to bring some lemongrass for Ollie next time,
Boy,
boy.
let me tell you, no, I want tabak zombie.
It's like we pick and choose who gets the spotlight. Like
Yeah.
Mm.
who do we want to focus on? You
Yeah.
know?
Hmm. Yes, let's see what other folks are chiming in. People are fairly silent today. Like, people are very silent when it comes to
Interesting.
these
Mhm.
topics, and it feels almost like people are scared to say certain things
But
because,
this is a
again,
hard topic to,
Yes.
these topics are hard to comment on for a number of reasons because we've made it so cool to support the community. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but I feel like people who have differing views are, which is, let's be real, which is a large percentage of people, they're scared to say anything because they
Agreed.
have more conservative views. And I don't like that because I think that if we're talking acceptance, you should also be able to accept the fact that I'm choosing a
That
heterosexual lifestyle and that's fine for me. Do you
Yeah.
know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really important for us to respect each other.
I think I remember having this conversation with a friend of mine the other day. I feel like we're in a space where we've gone to the other extreme, where previously the extreme was bigotry, whether it's race, sexuality, religion, whatever the case may be. And yes, we are more in a time where we can express ourselves, and social justice is very much on the table for a lot of people in this and the other. But the downside to that is exactly what you're saying, in that if you once you disagree with what is now considered the norm and accepted, now you're considered the other, and you're the one that is considered to be a bigot, and like automatically considered to be a bigot or racist or
mhm.
this or that. Sometimes even when people truly do not understand and they're asking questions because they really want to know, and when you ask a question now, it's like, oh well, you're being ignorant, and
Oh,
you're
and,
being
and
this
then
and
you
being
and then
that.
you get cancel culture.
You can't win.
And
Cancel
everybody
culture.
and they're ready to cancel you so
You
fast.
cannot win. You cannot win sometimes. And I think like
So
that level of nuance is what's missing a lot now. People think once you're not on this, you're immediately against it. That nuance is gone.
So what do we do? Do we keep quiet, or we still give our 2 cents on everything that's going on, or do we just don't say anything
Well,
at
it's
all?
Pride Month, and I've said publicly, privately, in all that have, that I support the community. So
Same.
I will continue to bring topics up that can assist them. I believe that you have a right to choose to love whoever the hell you want to love,
You
and do what you
do.
want to do as consensual adults. You can do whatever the
Yeah.
hell you want to do with how
Yep.
many people you want to do it, and how many times you
Ooh
want
la
to do it.
la. Sounds like a good
and
Just
time.
leave the
and
children and the animals out there. I'll always say
Of
this.
I
course.
Please,
know, right?
consensual
animals.
consensual
Please.
adults,
Yeah.
In lear-
adulting.
in layman terms, we would say we have bigger fish to fry. Like, let's fry
Let's
bigger
focus
fish.
on things that really should be mattering right now,
Yeah.
like, like the amount of of sexual abuse cases that are being swept underneath the carpet.
Yeah,
Underneath the
Let's
carpet.
let's focus on that because they
yeah,
come from top shelf
straight
places.
down, straight down.
Let's focus on these things because these are the things that really matter. Or all those women who are taking money from these men, these men who exploit little girls and little boys.
I
That is
want
what
to
we
throw
need
in
to
something else
focus
that
on.
I think we should talk about, not necessarily on this panel, but needs to be articulated a lot more, is the sex trafficking that exists with children and women, with populations where people are thinking, oh, they're just going missing, and we're not hearing from them. We know what's happening. Sex trafficking is real, and we need to have more open conversations, and we need to expose the people who facilitating sex trafficking throughout the islands, outside the islands, etc. And if we end up getting, use it for that, I apologize, but it's real. It's
It's
real, and
real.
it's
It
very
is real.
frustrating
It's
when we're
very
seeing
real.
from that. I'm seeing a little more and more blatant cases of how people, women especially, are going missing without a trace. And yes, Trinidad and Tobago is a big country, but it's not that big. For you to tell me that someone is going missing and you don't hear from them or you don't see from them for years, nobody, no remains, nothing, it's like an open secret at this point. So that's just a personal thing that I get really agitated about, as you can probably tell. But we need to be more open about this.
Yeah, I
Yep,
agree.
yep. That's why we're wrapping up the heavy conversation.
The
They
heavy.
heavy, it heavy. It's heavy. It weighs down on me. Sometimes I get tongue tied because you're afraid to say what you really want to say. Because
For real.
you don't want to. Next thing they cancel, and I see my little
Yeah.
two followers end up -1. Because I said, "Oh, let me tell you, the cancel culture is real." But
Yeah.
we're keeping it moving, and we want to dive in a little bit and talk about some things that are a little bit more on a part of life. We want to talk about a little bit about on relationships, especially as it relates to family dynamics and the relationships with bio parents and blended families. And now we have a lot more people probably leaving certain relationships that they're not happy with in and moving on to other relationships. And obviously they have children, and now children now have stepdaddies and stepmommies, and now becoming blended families and all of that. Now there's a situation where a man actually was involved, I guess, in a blended situation where he was a stepdad to a child, and took care of her all of her life. And then when time to get married, she insisted that her biological dad, who was not really in her life financially, should be the one to walk her down the aisle. And he was kind of left out of a lot of things. The stepdad was left out of a lot of things, and became upset and decided he's not paying for no wedding. That's it. The end. It's a wrap. And he did that actually on the night before the wedding. He's like, I'm not paying. I'm making my announcement. I'm not paying for
Right.
this because you did not include me. From a personal perspective, I actually know of someone who said it was her mom. It was between her mom and I think her stepmom or her adopted mom or some other individual, and she wanted her adoptive mom to walk her down, but her mom insisted on being part of it, and not being part of it, but wanting to be the one to walk her down the aisle, and refuse. And she's like, we'll do it together. Y'all can do it together, but I'm not taking other one. Now, with all of these blended families, like, how do we really factor those things in, and how do we? Who do you think is right and wrong in this situation? Who has the call? Who should make the call as to who walks who down the aisle where blended family is concerned? Look at Ricola, your face making all kind of sign, all
Well,
kind of thing.
This is
we're talking about
complicated.
we're talking about walking down the aisle. So obviously we are speaking of adults. So I think in a case like that, the adult child should be able to choose, for whatever reason he or she has, that she either wants biological dad or biological mom, whatever. As an adult, you should be able to choose who you want to walk you down the aisle based on the circumstances or the dynamics within both households, like what's going on here or there.
And well,
As
this
an
is
adult, you should be able to choose. That's me. Like I would want to say, okay, stepdaddy, let's go. Or, stepdaddy, take a seat, let my dad do this. Because now, I'm an adult and now we probably
But
understand
stepdaddy
each
paying
other.
for the wedding.
Yeah, I was not gonna say stepdaddy also has the right to not pay for the wedding.
You're right. So then, yeah, it could go both ways.
It can go
Stepdaddy,
both.
it could go both ways. As an
Yeah,
adult, I think it will be fine for her to choose. I don't know.
I think that in the
Mhm.
case of the adoptive mom versus the biological mom walking down the aisle, yes, I agree with you. That is her
Mm.
rights. I think that no one can dictate that, who you want to have walk down the aisle. If let's say she had a son, like who's of walking age, she's like, I want my son to walk me down the aisle. She could do that as well. The situation with the stepfather and the stepdaughter and the biological father who is not present at all until the wedding day, that one is a sticky one. I really do feel it for the stepfather because I think it's more than money. I think it's more than, well, I paid X amounts of money for this wedding, but it seems as if he took this child on as his own,
And
and
he
raising
wants
her.
to be
And
appreciated.
that's it. Every father, whether they're biological or not, that is one of the most important moments of your life. Seeing your child. She's an adult, yes, but seeing your child, being handed over to into this new chapter, and I could understand how that could feel like a slap in the face to him, and why he would move very petty and say, "Well, here, what? Let your bio father pay for this wedding if he's walking you down the aisle." I
Where
think
was where was bio dad all along? Like, where was
there's
he?
that.
Missy
Question.
Chrissy,
Like,
what are
where
you
was
saying? Because you kind of quiet on that one, and I feel like sometimes I honest to God feel like sometimes with all of these these step and blended and all of these families and stuff, like all of these family issues, I think people sometimes make the most irrational decisions. Like the man paying for your wedding, like like he and he said he paid $40,000 for you to go to university.
wow?
Like he took care of you and he's feeling some type of way,
Yeah.
and no kind of like you have no kind of uh like the no value placed on what he's done for
Hmm.
you,
And this is
and
her
you still
wedding.
accepting his money for your
This is
wedding.
also her wedding, which means that she could also dictate certain things. If she
That's not, it's
wanted
not
to
your
have
wedding if somebody paying for it.
No, no, no. What I'm trying to get at is if she wanted to have it her way, where she could even say, "Well, let the two of them walk me down the aisle." If she was so insistent on having a
But it's
father,
not
Exactly.
your
a father.
wedding. It
Ex-
is not your
No,
wedding
but you
if
understand what
you're
I'm
not
trying to
paying
guess
for
at,
it.
right? Like if she so wanted to still have a father, but also say, like, I want to also honor the man that took care of me. If she
then
was
do
so
both of them.
then let both of them walk you down the aisle.
Yeah,
Like if your
let
wedding
both
could
of them
do
walk out. Jail says
I
not
I
her wedding.
It's not her
It's
wedding. It's
tricky.
not
Her,
I
her
she's
wedding.
mean,
she's exchanging the
I'm
vows.
on the fence. Go ahead.
No, no, go ahead. Go ahead, Missy
I'm
Chrissy.
on the fence because I can see it so many different ways. The bride clearly has some sort of value in her biological father walking her down the aisle. She sees some sort of value in that. And I think that, yes, like you were saying, she has the right to choose who walks her down the aisle. Um, and her wishes should be respected. However, um, if I were that bride, I would be a little bit more emotionally intelligent and say,
Having gone to university.
preach.
right,
For
and
forty
have
thousand dollars,
and
right?
say, because you had to manage these men and their egos. And what I realized, parents with weddings,
Yeah,
it's
they don't
almost
play.
it's their wedding.
Yeah,
It's not just your wedding, it's also your parents' wedding. um
and
so
granny and uncle.
listen,
It's
especially if
family. It's a family's wedding.
and especially if they weren't married, like, and it's the first marriage of the family, or like, they take it seriously, and you have to be mindful of all those things. So if I were that bride, I would, and I valued having my real father with me, but I also know this is the man who's provided for me for most of my life, took care of my education, is taking care of this wedding. I will have them both walk me down, or
Agreed.
find a way that they both feel important and respected throughout the wedding. That's what
Agreed.
I would do.
Well, you see,
Um,
my 2 cents on this really, really, really is don't get married. Live in phony communication all your life. Like
what?
why you have to get the government involved in your business? Like
As
you, the
someone who's
man
still
already love
hung
you.
up on
Like
the whole notion of marriage and
all of this
weddings.
for a person to go and do a whole live and talk about how I take back my money because everybody
No,
knows
that
You
was
did
a
a
me.
petty
live?
move. I'm not gonna
Oh,
lie. That was a
oh,
petty move on the guy's part. But again, men and their egos, you had to manage it, you know? He's feeling hurt. He's
Yeah,
thinking,
he was
where your
definitely
father
hurt.
been? You had a deadbeat father, maybe in his
that's
mind.
the worst
Where your
part.
father been all your life? I provided for you. I was your father, blah, 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 blah. And you just gonna dump me, kick me to the curb. The last opportunity you have,
It's
the last
hurtful. It's
opportunity
hurtful.
I have to provide for you, because after that, your husband's supposed to be providing for you, right? The
Hmm.
last opportunity, the last hurrah where I get to celebrate that and you get to show me that you appreciate me, you kick me to the curb.
Here
Slap in the
comes
So
face.
yeah, he
Biodad.
was petty, but I can see how he
I
would
get
Oh.
it.
make that decision, you know?
And my thing too is like it's more than the money. Whether he paid $40, 40,000, $4 million for the wedding, I'm actually not even thinking about the value or the money that he paid for it. I'm thinking about, again, this is the time and the love and the effort and the energy this man took into raising a child that is not his. You
Mm.
mentioned just now that, men and their feelings and their egos and all of that. There are unfortunately some men who are like, if they're with a woman and she has children that are not biologically his, he's like, that have nothing to do with me. Like, they will ignore those children. So the fact that this man took this child and, raised her as his own, that is hurtful. And this is whether this is her stepfather or her stepmother, in my opinion. Like, it's, you just don't do that to people.
True.
It's,
Especially knowing that that person is the one who's fronting the bill for
yep.
your wedding,
And to
right?
add insult to injury, the person who you kicked him to the curb for is someone who is not present in your life. I would understand this a bit more if, let's say, she had like a relationship with both of her fathers, and she
Yeah.
was torn between the two. She's like, I don't know how to go about doing this. But this man was not active in your life up until the wedding day, and you just give this man all of this
But you
clout.
know, it's
I would
tricky.
love to understand under what circumstances that she really decided to, okay, my biodad is gonna.
Based on what I listened to, a lot of it was coming too from the mom. The mom was kind of like pushing for the biological father to actually walk her down the aisle, and I'm saying to myself, well, what he doing with this mom? Because clearly she doesn't care about you.
She's a
Because
Who
if
mess.
she
she's married
knows
to, because
if
she's
she knows
married to the stepfather, right?
exactly, if
She's
she
married to
knows that
stepdad.
if she knows that
That sounds
you've
like an
taken
interesting
care of
value.
his of
She is
her
trash.
child,
She's trash
and
as it.
I just felt it's like really some women not easy. Like
Nope.
Walk me down
you're
twice.
really
Walk me
going
down twice.
to exactly
Weddings
like
are a show anyway, so why not just do it twice?
Yeah, walk me
Let's
down
be
exactly.
twice.
true.
Because maybe there's a value there of having like your real father. I know some people
There
have
is.
some really interesting
Bad
values.
Yep.
conception,
So
yeah.
maybe that was their value. Walk me down twice. So everybody have a picture. I can
Everybody's
hold on to
happy.
which picture matters more to me and keep it
Or
pushing. But
or one dad walk me down the aisle, the other dad would do
gives
the
me away
gives me
gives me
away.
away
Do
and like
something.
they could have staged it. I've seen where people have actually had
yeah,
different people at different stages of your life, because guess what, different people did help you at different stages of your life
Yes.
get to
Correct.
True.
where you, because that is the whole idea behind the aisle and walking down. You're going through all of these emotions. You see the bride very emotional, especially when they come out. You see the man on the other end, tearing up or really proud or really like in
It's
awe
very
of
symbolic.
and you could literally have different people who, because your father by your dad, he brought you into this world, the first stages of your life, the next one, and you could really do your mom stepped in, and so and so until you get to the person. I personally think that stepdaddy should have been the one handing over, because he the handing on the money, he the handing all the checks,
Clean
right?
sheet.
yeah. But
Automatically.
I think we cannot ever discount, and I've never had this experience, but I can speak for friends that I've had, right? So I had two friends in primary school, since primary school. One knew they were adopted, one didn't know they were adopted, and then eventually found out they were adopted, right? Um, and both in very loving, supportive homes. You have to ask for nothing. You understand? But however, when they reached a certain aspect of their life, they always sought to find connection with their biological family. Whether it was a sibling, their parents, they always did. So I feel like we could never discount someone's searching for that connection with,
True.
somebody who's
With their
actually
blood. The blood,
yeah,
it's your
blood.
blood.
Blood, yeah.
Yes.
I think naturally as human beings, we would search for that connection and align ourselves with that, and maybe that's something that's happening here in this story.
Yeah.
I want to take it to the conversation on the live. Alison Ferrier is saying that man was being used all these years and it finally came to light. Um Angel Clark is saying she could have at least told him, well, my dad will walk me down the aisle, but we can do two father daughter dances. Someone else is saying that it was very disrespectful. Rukia is saying, I felt she should have had both of them walk her down the aisle. Let me just go down. Somebody else is actually asking, Manuela Gregor is asking, was the stepfather funding the entire wedding? Shouldn't be that the responsibility of the groom and the bride? Yo, let me
Mm-mm.
tell you,
Fa-
y'all out there in the streets, like, if y'all really want to get married, go to the courthouse. Like, what is all this telele about? Like, I don't even understand, like, why people want to make people fund their nuptials. You trying to get into a relationship broke, like you're gonna spend all this damn money. Like, go down to the courtyard if you really, really want to put a ring on it in front of a
But you
judge.
know,
And
I've
Jill, I
been.
think from what I've heard, it's not is it traditional that the dad funds the wedding? From what I've
You
heard.
say the
well,
father of the
from the
bride, I think.
African perspective, we have to
Yeah, the father
take
of
on
the
our ancestral heritage. The father of the bride is like
yeah,
a dowry, right? Has to
right.
kind of like pay
Yeah.
for pay for everything. And it appears that the man in that current situation, he looked like one who is very traditional.
Okay.
So I,
So
I
there
get a
you go.
sense that he felt he was the father and that was his responsibility because he had
Oh,
taken this on
Yeah.
throughout her
Because he
entire
easily could not
lifetime.
have. He just as easily could not have at the
Well,
same
I
time.
unfather in you, I unfather in you.
I've been saying for the longest time, if I ever get to the point of marriage,
We were
and
talking about that earlier on.
if I ever do get to the point of marriage, I just want to go to the red house. Red house is just, like the courthouse. Document that. Have a few friends, to like witness it. All that money that could have gone towards the ceremony, the wedding, the reception, the DJ, the food, the alcohol, and feeding all these people and all of that. That money could easily go towards a honeymoon for the next 2-3 months traveling the world.
Tahiti. Why?
Like
Let me
literally,
spend
I want to spend the
Fiji.
next 2-3 months traveling. I don't want to stop wedded bliss with you in debt. And I still have to do house. We still have to organize the children's future, car,
yes.
mortgage.
Yep.
All no, no, that's too much. That's too much money for me. Sorry.
Gone are the days I said tell people use a page out of COVID. When COVID was around, what all he was doing? Everybody was Zoom marrying.
Zoom, Zoom marry.
Everybody was Zoom
Zoom marrying.
marrying. Zoom
Exactly.
marrying, right? So
People
continue
save
Zoom.
Zoom
real money
marrying.
I might
getting
have to
married in
consider
COVID, huh?
Zoom. I'm gonna consider
I
Zoom
told you know
marrying.
what? Some of my friends who were actually considering. I know one friend canceled the entire because they were like, "Oh, we'll wait." I said, "My brother, what you waiting for? Like, now is the time. You know how much money you saving? Like, are you
Literally.
joking?"
Okay,
I
no.
respect
So the
people's
Zoom.
wishes for the pump and flare. If that's what you want, do it, but also know that you can afford it. You know
There's
what I
also that.
mean?
If you
Yeah,
can't
know
afford
that
it,
you
by
can
all means.
afford it and you're not actually going into the marriage broke. If you are, then scale down. There's nothing wrong with scaling down. And when you are in a better financial situation, do a nice 20th year or 10, maybe hopefully you're rich by 5 years, 10 years in, and then you can do
Well, you
a
see the
fantastic
Zoom
something.
wedding. No, we're
But
not
you know what
doing
it
no
is
Zoom
to
wedding.
still try to get married at the height of COVID. You still tried your best to have that glam wedding, and then you're stuck in lockdown together, and your marriage doesn't survive COVID. You know, pissed off, Abby.
I mean, that's
I
just
mean,
life. That's just
but
life.
after
Why?
you insisted on spending all this money for this wedding, and then COVID happens, lockdown, and then where are my returns? This is
Speaking
why
of
it doesn't
spending,
make any
speaking of
sense. It doesn't make
speaking of
sense.
spending a lot of money, though, Speaking of spending a lot of money,
Hmm.
you've done this, you're in the relationship, you're married. Should a relationship be 50-50, even if one partner makes more money?
Are we roommates?
Sip, 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 sip. What?
She
What are you drinking? Like, listen, because Dwayne and Gabrielle, Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union say they 50-50, right? And it turns out he makes more money than her. But the thing about it was that she didn't want him referring to the house as his house, like he bought it. She wanted everything to be ours. So she didn't want to feel like she was not contributing, and as a result she was dependent on him and whatever. And the 50-50 rule applied in that instant. Do you guys think that that it should be 50-50, or it would have making more money? Like,
Are we
who's
talking
making
exclusively money?
It
That's,
best
that's
that?
to clarify. Are we talking exclusively money? I just want to be clear on that. In
Well,
50-50.
money.
well,
Yes, we are talking money.
we talking money. We
Oh, I
talking
just want to
money.
be sure. I just want to be sure
Money.
because some people, I've realized that some people, they talk 50-50 when it comes to relationships and let's say marriage. They'll say 50-50, yes, when it comes to the money, but then it's 75-20 when it comes to other things like fidelity and taking care of the children and, all these other things. So that's why I want to be
Money.
very clear. No problem.
Money. Money.
Money.
Money.
I love it.
Should it be 50-50?
But I saw that thing with Dwayne Wade. Before we just speak generally, I find he fresh. First of all, he fresh. He fresh. He too
Bad.
fresh
He fresh
to
bad.
say. Yeah, he fresh to even
Mackerel fresh.
say that this is his house. Like, there's something like, even the fact that they're admitting this in public bothers me, worries me as to what else is going on in that relationship. But if it works for them, it works for them. But he fresh,
Bad.
because if you are the husband and it is in fact your house, you don't dare say it is your house. It is
But that's
our
also
house.
proving
But it
Gabrielle's
could also,
point.
it
It's
could
proving
also be very natural though, because let's imagine a situation where
Her
you marry
response,
somebody and you move into their house that they
but still,
originally had.
nope, nope,
it, it,
nope,
it could be a
nope.
natural thing to say my house.
Mm-mm.
but I think no,
No,
I agree with what
not
she's
in
saying
not in
because
this case, and not in any marriage. It should never be like that. You're fresh.
Mackerel
I think
fresh.
what he said is proving
Who
Gabrielle's
not
point
fresh?
and why it says she said she wanted to go 50-50. She doesn't want him to be in a space where he's saying
Thank
this
you.
is my house and this is my
Yeah,
car. I
because he's
understand
gonna
that
feel like
notion.
he has jurisdiction. No,
I
in the
understand that
state.
notion and that mindset of not wanting to feel as if you are subservient is not the word. Feeling as if you have less stake in something that you help to build, even if someone's paycheck at the end of the day is less than yours, sorry, more than yours. I could
Correct.
understand that because, and that's why I asked
Mm.
that question earlier about, I was talking about exclusively about money because the thing is, when it comes to money, it's more than just the dollars and cents, but the way people treat you and the way the dynamics of money as well. There are a lot of subtle, like spoken and unspoken rules when it comes to how people act with money in a relationship. They're really that some people tend to be like, well, they have something over you because they have a few zeros in their paycheck.
So how is it
So
supposed to be? Like, how do you propose if you get married to somebody where money is concerned?
hmm,
How do you determine
isn't
who
this
pays
why you
what?
have? Isn't this how why like a lot of I'm not married, but so again, you guys in the comments can let me know if this is how it works for you guys. But isn't this part of the reason why married couples go from having single accounts to joint accounts? So they are building things together, whether it's the house, whether it's the money towards the children's education, healthcare, insurance, whatever the case may be. So you guys are again coming back to the house. If
So
they
you're
have a
so you're
joint
saying
account.
you should combine your accounts now. So you should not
No,
have your own.
no. To clarify, you should, I think everyone should still have things that are theirs. But when it comes to things that you are
For the
building
household
together, so if, of
together.
course, if you're married, you guys are gonna live together. If you want to
Right.
build a home together, I think that
Right.
is why a lot of married couples tend to have, in addition to the single accounts, they also have a joint account, and that
No,
goes
I,
for
ge- I
bills
get
and
that,
all.
Recolia. But
Uh-huh.
how much of that do you put in?
I think if
Because
there's a joint account, I think if
if
it is a,
for example, there's a joint account situation you're referring to, right?
yeah.
And which I'm totally I'm understanding, right, that
Mhm.
where you're going with this. But if the mortgage is $2,000 a month, do I have to put in 1,000? Do you have to put in 1,000? If the light bill is $40, do I have to put in $20 in that joint account? You understand what I'm saying?
That
Because that still works boils down to 50-50,
50-50.
Yeah.
whether
Or
or not it is
or
going
it
in.
could be, or it could be, all right, well, we may go halvesies on the mortgage, but you're handling the electricity and I'm handling the whatever, the utilities and all of that. Like you're handling the entire bill. If you understand, you're still collaborating.
Listen,
I
whoever
think it's
making more money run things.
I think
That's
it's
the
based
bottom line.
on
I
the
personally don't want
household.
to be in a situation like that
You
because that
making
come
more
back.
money, you paying for everything.
Yes,
I
but
think
then
it's I
go
think
ahead,
it's
sorry, go
based
ahead,
on the
Shalina.
household. I think it's based on the household. Like whatever
Mhm.
you decide as a married couple, like couples can you can come to a compromise. Okay, honey, my love, I love you so
My
much.
dudu sherry.
My duty
Dudu.
Sherry. So what is it going to be? It's a conversation that the couple needs to have, and it can remain private. So I still don't understand why Dwayne and Gabriel felt like we needed to know this. Like it was complete
It's giving me Romeo
oversharing,
and Jada energy, right? Like that particular interview was giving me like this is too much information. Like
oversharing. Like we did not need to know what goes on within your walls. If it's something that you and Dwayne agreed to, my girl, go for it.
great.
You
Yeah.
agreed to it. It works for you. Fine. We did not need to know that. But me,
It's telling the blue.
You.
baby.
He's like, my money's for my makeup.
Listen. Wait, but Dwayne also said, which I find was just out of line. Dwayne was like, "What's gonna happen if something happens between me and her? Like, do I get to keep all my bread, or does she get all her bread and I spend all my bread? Like, bro, that's your wife. What are you
I
talking
saw
about?"
that, and
I
it
did
was
not know about
disturbing
that
for
part.
me too. I saw
That
him
sounds
justify that there's only three things in his life that he says they actually go 50-50 on, and
Yes.
then everything else he basically takes care of it. So again, like he had to make sure and say, I am still the man of my household,
Oh, but
right?
baby,
now
listen.
But
the
then
thing
she
is, you see,
also, as a woman, and I think this is a whole other conversation, she felt the need to say that for a particular reason.
I
And
don't see why
that
that's
the thing is,
concerns me.
unnecessary.
Gabrielle Union is also an alpha woman. So,
Very,
and this is known,
very,
she's an alpha.
very.
So I
Yeah.
Mhm.
think that is why she had to make it very clear about where she stands on certain things, regardless of who her partner is. She's
Mhm.
a dominant woman, and
That's
I
fine.
respect her for that. I really
That's
do.
fine.
And
I don't
feel like
know.
maybe that like that, and
Mm,
I 100% agree with you, Selena. I feel like that is. I'm not sure why we had to know because I feel like they were kind of I won't say fighting, but I feel like the alpha and the alpha were kind of going at
bumping
a little bit
heads.
subtly, but in public. JL, I just want to just come back to something you said there, something, and I think maybe because of things I've seen a lot, like over the years in this and the other, not just like in my existence, but like a lot of stories I've seen, and just like how a lot of women have been kind of been dealt a hand where the man who has the power in terms of like the most money and the wealth and the power and this and the other, he's the one that can call the shots and say certain things. And for me personally, yes, it's great if let's say he's making all this money, he could take care of me and all of that. But I think in the back of my mind, I'm also like very cautious about that as well. Because there's some men too who feel like, all right, well, I'm making all this money, I can do all of this. Yeah, I can take care of all these bills, but that also means I can do whatever I want.
That also means that you have to be the housewife.
First
You
The
of
have to
all,
be
housewife,
I
providing.
well,
first of
yes,
You
all,
are
that,
the
that,
housewife.
and if things go left, what am I left with? You
First of all, I
understand?
would not want to be in a position where I get married to any man who feels like, okay, I'm in the house. I need to feel like I'm doing something to feel like I'm even loved or valued within the household. What
Me
if
stuff.
if
I want an allowance for cleaning the house, so just leave me alone. Like,
okay,
listen, I want an allowance for cleaning. I want an allowance for laundry. I want an allowance for sex. Like, hello, give me
there are
an
no,
allowance.
it's a no for me. We're not doing
Some the thing is some people change too. Like they're great when it says y'all are dating, y'all are fiance, and then when you start living together, it can be a whole different ballgame.
true.
So those things I'm very cautious about. Like I see some like minor red flags when people start saying things like mine and mine and mine when we are supposed to be, you and me are supposed to be ones building this together.
Mhm.
And if God forbid things don't work out and we have to go our separate ways, I'm still taken care of. I still have something that's mine and I'm not dependent on you to continue taking care of me after we mash up. So I can
let's
understand where Gabrielle's coming from.
let's go to the chat.
50-50.
Marincia is saying, when you're married, there's no more my. It's our. It goes for everything. If you're married to me and tell me it's your house, then we will. Then we marry. I will remain in my previous house, and let's see how that works. My partner is actually on this, and he is commenting like Mr.
Hey,
have good
I
head.
love it.
Okay.
Mr. have good head. So I'm going to say, Jovian is saying he said the 50-50 him speak of is he going to buy a house for 1 million and she adds a million to it and says, let's get this one instead. So she meets him halfway. So they go bigger. So
Mhm.
he's
He
trying to
meant
just
That's
he
what Dwayne
touched
was
on
saying.
that in
Yeah.
part of his interview. Yeah, he touched on
Mhm.
that in part of his interview.
Yeah. So he, yeah.
Shara is also
Sorry.
saying simple. The other one will fill in the blanks. Bye, bird. Ha ha ha. Okay. All right. So Rukia is saying, yup, they want to be the housewife and can't go nowhere and can't do nothing. I have to account for why I spent $5 instead of $2.50.
You see what I mean?
Let me tell you.
You see what I mean?
That's
Let
crazy.
me tell you.
I don't think it should be, I mean, I don't believe anything should be, can be 50-50 in a realistic
Agree.
marriage or a partnership that is a serious partnership. I like the concept of where 50-50 is coming from. Like, I think they're coming from, are we sharing the effort in the relationship, right?
Yeah.
I'm putting this effort, you're matching my effort. And I think from that aspect, I say yes. When we're talking finances, in a lot of the cases, women are making less money than men. So if the woman's salary is three, the man's salary is six, and the bills of the house comes up to three,
It's going to be hard to
obviously
go 50-50. It's
yeah,
going to be
50-50
hard.
doesn't make sense. But you may come to an agreement that is fair, right? So you might do a ratio thing, or you might say a percentage of that, making up the whole. Or I know situations where the man takes care of all the bills in the house, right?
Maybe that's
And
why none of us are married.
you share,
Hey,
well, I mean,
Maybe.
hey.
I you share, you people have different arrangements, okay?
Oh, trust me, I'm in a relationship for 14 years, okay? So
Good for you. Yeah. But people have different arrangements.
mhm.
So
It's what
it's
works for
hard to
them.
knock, yeah, it really is what works for them. Um when we talking 50-50 with duty, I think that is a whole other can of worms, right? Because we as women versus men, in a general sense, we bring different things to the table. I mean, if we just talk about making children, you know what I mean? Then how are you matching that? Because all you do is have a moment of pleasure, and we have a whole other situation just biologically. So there's a whole different set of things to discuss with this whole 50-50 vibe.
I have something. I just want to really just add to that, just to kind of maybe like cement exactly what it is you're talking about. I came across an article a couple weeks ago. I just remembered it, but I think you just triggered it, where a woman was talking about her experience. I think she spoke about it on TikTok and it went viral. She's speaking about her experience where she was married. They entered into the relationship where she said she did not want children. She,
Hmm,
from the outset, did not want children. He
hmm,
agreed to it. They got married, they were in their thing and this and the other, and he started to push her to have kids. He said he really wanted children in his life and all of that. They went
hmm.
back and forth. Eventually, she gave in. Fast forward to like 2 or 3 kids later. She was very into her career. She's a big career woman and this and the other. So again, kids were not on her agenda. But she started to notice that the person who claimed he wanted children in his life to feel fulfilled and all of that was not taking care of his children. She said that the tipping point for her was when I think she said she saw like she had like the nanny cam on or something like that, and she saw where the kids were just like roaming around, just doing whatever they wanted, and he was in the house. And from there, she proceeded with divorce filings and this and the other. She said she loves her children to death as much as she said she did not want children. They are her kids. But now there is a bit of resentment there because she's now stuck with something that she never wanted in the first place that she gave to him, and
Right.
like a child with a puppy just doesn't know how to take care of, and now she now has shoulder to being mother and father. So it kind of comes back to your points again where you're saying
Yeah.
that 50 is not the same in every single relationship.
Let me tell you something,
I don't know
Ollie.
what I would do if I was in that situation. I'll be
Let
very
me tell
honest.
you
I
something,
don't know.
Ollie.
That's tough.
That
It's
Pick,
is
important
rough.
to
pick,
stick your
pick your
ground.
partners. Pick your partners, eh?
That
Right.
Stick
that is
your
a
ground.
Like they say something about equally yoked and unequally yoked, and let me tell you, y'all need to be on the same level somewhere.
yep.
Because if y'all not on the same level, it's gonna come back and bite you.
Maybe
It
not
will
this
come back
year,
and
next
bite
year,
you
five
because
Exactly.
years.
you might love the toti, and that's what will have you hooked. You might love the money, and that's what have you hooked. But if the man or the person has a bad character, at some point in the marriage, you will understand why you should have stayed your backside at your mother home.
Yeah.
like, like
And if you
honestly,
have a if that person has a non-negotiable from the start,
Yeah,
like what makes
that
you think that
that
non-negotiable from the
that
start is going to change after
that
Yeah.
marriage?
part.
Don't
I think
ever,
some people,
yeah.
I think some people think, again, men and women, I think some people think that yes, they may have their non-negotiables at the outset of the relationship, but then maybe they start thinking, well, it is a marriage, we're supposed to compromise. I think that's the challenge for some people, which I get, but you still have to know what your things, critical things like children ahead of getting married, that has to be
Exactly.
finalized. That can't be figuring out in the marriage.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. How
yes.
do you not have
So
these conversations while dating?
We have to be on the same page. The
Yeah.
same
Go
page.
to go to
then
engagement encounter.
Then there are also some men
When you
as
need
well who be
it.
like, yeah, yeah, she says no, but I'll get to her soon.
Tuh.
They may go along and be like, I respect you, right? I respect your
She says no
decision right
now. She'll change her
now.
mind later on.
Yeah,
You know,
and
I'll buy her Benz and she'll change her mind.
Yeah.
Listen,
relationships are
the
complicated.
Mercedes, the G wagon. I'll change my mind any day. Yeah, I will change my
Babe,
mind. Yes.
I changing my mind. Come on,
I'm
let's go.
changing my mind. Let's see what folks was saying. Somebody's saying compromising should be done from the start. If you're not on the same page from the start, next caller, please. That's what Jesse Lauren is saying. So
Yeah.
people, at the same instance, I feel like people are not thinking these relationships that they get into through. They're not
So
thinking it
true.
True.
through. They're in love and whatever. And
Very
I remember,
shallow
like,
thinking.
I was raised very like from in a religious home, and my mother was very against living with anybody if you're not married, right? And I remember, when Joven and I got together, she pulled him aside and she's like, "You all need to get married." Blah, blah, blah. And meanwhile, we're like looking for a place for us to stay. Eh? We're getting. So I said to her mom, "I don't window shop. I like to try on the clothes, make sure it fit in. Make sure after a couple washes, it don't change the color. Make sure that it's not running in the wash. Make sure that it costs money that I can afford." I never believed in it, and that's just my personal. I always felt like I had to live with somebody for me to understand what
Fact.
it is like, because you get involved with people, and they just, the person you see or you love from a distance become is a different person when you're in the house with the
Fact.
person. And it's like, and all of that 50-50 and 20-30 and all of that 70-70, all of that we sorting that thing out. No, we
Yep.
living together. You can say we fornicating. Well, I funny communicating until Jesus comes. But I want to find out about who I'm getting involved with and who I potentially want to. And I mean, my partner and I, we consider ourselves to be life partners. And let me tell you, like, he's probably one of the best dads. He's daddy and mommy because he has the kids 24/7, right? So I have a strange situation which
No,
works because I'm very career driven and he understands that, and he's been supportive, and we understand the dynamics and we try our best to make it hard. It's not easy to be in a relationship. It really is not easy to be in much less a marriage where your partner does not understand that 50-50 might not work because
we're
hello, you're making $10 an hour and you making $100 an hour. How the hell is 50-50 going to work? It can't work. It make it
Cannot
make
work.
sense.
I don't
It's
think
not
the
even making two
relationship is
cents.
unconventional though. I just want to just throw that in there. I think that it's a I wouldn't say it's the norm, but I think it is a growing norm of relationships these days. I'm of the opinion as well. Like I believe I used to when I was younger say like, getting married was the ideal because that is what society and media tells you that you have to do by a particular age. Get married, have kids, have the house and this and the other. And then there's the reality of things. You know, things are not cheap, especially children. But beyond that, I started to sort of like evaluate more like what I value most. And I realized for me that I would rather have a long term partnership and a life partner, someone who, as you rightly said, we're equally yoked on most things, because we'll never be equally yoked on everything,
But
because that is
everything,
life.
right? That's
But
not
most of the
realistic at all.
fundamental things, and we are working and we're committed to building our relationship and strengthening it and bring out the best in each other. If we get married, great, fantastic. But I am not going to try and rush down the aisle because society says that, you're
You
this
need
age
to
and you
get
need to get
married.
married. And that's something I'm noticing a lot of. I feel like coming back to the situation with the bride and her bio dad, I think a lot of us are still chasing the ideal of things, and a lot of us get caught up in the ideal of a marriage and the ideal of the wedding and the beautiful dress and everyone celebrating you and this and the other, and there's less investment in the relationship, and not just the relationship when you guys are good, but when things have gone to utter shit and you guys hate each other at that point in time, but you still need to work it out. I think
Well,
that is being lost a
my
lot.
friends know that they will never drink rum on my head. That listen, that one will not happen. Right? So they've already accepted that. The first step is acceptance.
Yeah,
They've
there it is.
already
There it
accepted that.
is.
We need to work on yourselves. Work
Exactly.
on having a solid committed relationship. Whether your commitment involves whatever you decide
Whatever.
on your commitment, but do not go into these things expecting that some women really marry because they want to step up. They want to step up their game in terms of it might be somebody up in society, like upper class, top shelf. You want to elevate your capital, whatever the hell you want to do.
And there's some people who are
And some
getting
do
married
it for
because
the wrong reasons.
they themselves are not whole, but they're trying to find that in someone else.
Yeah,
And that's
so
when you already start bad.
make sure you check yourself before you wreck yourself, and get involved with people who can truly bring meaning to your life and not
And
necessarily. Yeah.
and do not negotiate your non-negotiables. That's what a non-negotiable is.
That
How you finding
Period.
yourself negotiating your non-negotiable? It doesn't make any sense. If you're not doing that, you're not doing that. It's not like, oh, let's see. No, you're not doing it.
that is
The end.
resentment there. Oof.
The end, guys. Wow, it's been a moment. It's been a moment. There's so many more. There's so many other things that we could be sharing. But this is where we wrap it up for this week. I want to kind of just bring in the folks who are on, because I know a lot of folks have been sending in messages on topics that they want us to discuss. They want us to give our 2 cents on it, and we promise we're gonna get to it. We're gonna do a poll, like we gotta do. Like, listen, I am like there. I'm producing, hosting, all kind of thing, and you must see us on our powwows when we meet up for us to figure out what we're talking about for the week. So we promise that we're going to pay attention to the group chat and feature some of your questions. 'Cause some of your questions, they're timeless. So and sometimes we need to take the time sensitive ones, and then so the timeless ones, we're definitely going to be pulling them in and having a discussion on them, and we're gonna be here as long as you want us to be here, right?
Right.
It's up
Yep.
to you. If you keep sharing the live, you keep loving the show, and you keep logging on every single Thursday, we will try our utmost best to be on time. Oh shit. We'll do our best to be on time. Meanwhile, while we're not getting our beat face, you see her nails blue. We would want to say special thank you to Missy Creasy out of the Jabland, Grenada, for stopping by and hanging out with us. And we hope that you felt at home and that you want to come back again. You're welcome. You just let me know. Jael, I know it's going to be your carnival coming up soon, right?
Yeah, we have Carnival in 2 months to date. Carnival
Wow.
Tuesday is the 15th of August. Yeah.
Yo, Grenada Carnival
And
is
I
a
have a
vibe.
carnival band. I have a carnival event on Carnival Sunday, so it's a busy time.
Yes, so I
Good
truly
Yeah.
luck with
appreciate.
that.
So if you're going to Grenada, look out, look for Creasy, Missy Creasy's band, right? What's the name of your band so that folks
The
can join
band's
it?
name is Upstage, so you can always check out upstagemass.com, and the events on Carnival Sunday is called Beach Bum.
Yes,
And I
yes,
have to, since you're Dominica, I have to shout out Old Time Sake because we collaborated with them and produced Sailor Mask costumes for them for Carnival this year in
Oh,
Dominica. So
that's so
big up the Old Time
cool.
Sake squad. Yeah, man.
yes,
That's
yes,
so
Yeah.
yes.
cool.
So it was so good having you, and wanna tell if you're planning on going to Grenada, check out Missy Creasy Upstage, and you can also work out with her. Those of us who want to get in shape.
Javin Shape, yeah,
Jam
on
in shape.
YouTube.
Let me tell you, I watch her legs. I sit down here watching a whole 10-minute video of her working out, and I'm like, boy, I wish my legs were like Jail. Just get your ass up and do the workout with her. But I too lazy. Let me tell you, I think I'm gonna be pleasantly plump until I die.
Mental
But if
working
you
out is fine at first. I'm good with that. Eventually you'll get to dancing and that's all good.
yes, so thank you so very much,
Thank
Missy
you
Chrissy,
so
for
much.
joining
This has
us.
been fun.
We appreciate you, and thanks for your time. My lovely co-host Stelina, the lovely Recolia. Stelina, your eyebrows always on flick, and I love your little swoosh. Your little
Thank you, Mom. I just got to relax. So which side is it on? Wait.
Every week we have this conversation. What side are we on?
I just got to
yeah.
relax.
You still relaxing your hair,
Fresh.
girl?
Fresh.
Yeah.
I'm judging. Sorry.
Yeah, you are. Yeah,
I'm
you all three are natural.
I'm
And
totally
I've never
judging.
relaxed my
What did
hair
we
in my
just
life.
talk about when we said that we're allowed to accept other people's differing opinions? We
You
just talked about
should,
that.
Thank
exactly.
you.
I just feel like anyways, that's another day. That's another show. We'll talk about the crack cream someday. Someday we'll talk about the
You look
crack cream
lovely.
sipping
Thanks,
into
my darling.
sipping
So
into
do
your
you.
skull and
Thanks.
going into your
She's not letting this
bloodstream.
go.
I love you. Yo, you always look great. Thank you guys
Thank you.
for joining us, and until next time, bye bye.
Enjoy your weekend, guys.
Oh, we're dancing? Okay.
Yeah, we are.
Hello, robot. Hello.
Face.
Bang, bang.